Then we're going to look at some examples, practical. I want to make this presentation as practical as possible, not just give ideas, but actually go through with you and show you how I go about doing things in the business world. And a lot of the things that I'm going to be discussing is stuff that we do in the business world. So I'm just kind of bringing it in and seeing how we can use it in the Adventist circle as well. And then we're going to go look at content creation and some do's and don'ts. So introduction, a little bit about myself. I am a web designer, a user interface and a user experience designer. For those of you who don't know what UI and UX is. Then I used to work at an inbound marketing agency for about 3.5 years. So a lot of the stuff that we are going to be discussing tonight is stuff that I've learned over the last 3.5 years, 4 years. A lot about inbound marketing. So I do know quite a lot about inbound marketing. So I'm currently running my own little freelance business ever since the beginning of this year, I think. Now a couple of months. I've also formed part of the Amen Missions team. So I was the marketing guy. No one really knows about me, but everyone saw what I did and what I've done. A lot of the marketing materials and stuff that went out, a lot of the advertisement and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, all of those kind of things. That's the stuff I sorted out. Then I am the husband of one wife, and I've got 2 beautiful boys. So that's just a little bit introduction about myself. Let's look at this. Let's ask ourselves these questions quickly. As I was going and researching this topic, I came across this information. And this is something that someone on a blog asked himself as well. Can you guess what happened in the last 60 seconds? About 1 million people logged into Facebook. 3.8 million searches were made on Google. About 4.5 million videos were viewed on YouTube. And about 347,000 users scrolled through Instagram and Facebook, because those 2 companies are one. That's quite a lot of activity in the online space. Now, as this person was mentioning these numbers, they also asked themselves this question. They were curious to know how many of those people actually read a blog or watched the video that told them more about Jesus Christ, which is a really interesting question to ask. And I actually thought about it as well. I know that as we go through this presentation, I'll show you some stats as well, but during the coronavirus, quite a significant number, or the lockdowns, a significant number of people started researching stuff, researching end times events. So this is quite a lot of activity happening right here, especially on Facebook and on Google. And for that reason, our church need to somehow employ a digital strategy or digital marketing strategy to reach these people. And that's why I'm going to just give you some ideas how to go about reaching people on the online space. So just some interesting stats as well. According to a group called Nielsen Norman group, they had done some research, and according to a study they've done, this is mostly American, so I could imagine what that number is around the world. But they say that American adults spend more than 11 hours per day watching, reading, listening to, or simply interacting with media. That's up from 9 hours and 32 minutes just 4 years ago. The average American 8 to 12-year-olds spend about 4 hours and 44 minutes on screen media every day. And teens average 7 hours and 22 minutes. That's not including time spent using screens for school and homework. So a lot of people are spending quite a lot of time on social media, on WhatsApp, on watching YouTube videos. I mean, a lot of them are online or were forced basically to stay at home because of the virus. Another interesting stat is that TikTok became the most downloadable app during the lockdown. And there are many other social media apps that saw quite a significant increase since the lockdown. Now, as a church, I believe that this is the time. Actually, we should have done this. We kind of late on this bandwagon. A lot of other ministries has already done these kind of things like Amazing Facts and other ministries. We as churches, I believe, should be on the platforms as well, and not just leave it up to young people, but everyone should. I mean, we got our phones, and these phones are very powerful if we use it wisely. So let's look at this question. What is digital evangelism? So this I just grabbed from a website. So digital evangelism is strategically using the internet, mobile, social media platforms to meet the needs of others and share the gospel with the online world. Making use of digital means to further the gospel work means that more church members can be missionaries. Adventist presence online will be stronger, and more people will know about the saving love of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. So, any platform, whether it be on our mobile phones or online, we can use, and we can use it on a daily basis to help the church grow. All right. So I want to, like I said, I want to make the session very, very practical. So I'm going to give you some ideas, and then we're going to do an example of how to go about targeting certain people. So it won't be in depth. So let's look at how do I start with digital evangelism. So these are just a couple ideas. If I was the PM leader or a youth leader, I would look at this. I would start organizing my team. It's super important that you have a team. At Amen, we were a team, and everyone had a role in the team. And I mean, no man is an island. I believe in teamwork, and that's what our church is all about. So it's super important that you get, especially young people involved, because they are very tech savvy. So if you can get them involved, get resources to teach your team members about digital evangelism. So at the end of this presentation, I'm going to share this presentation with Natasha, and then she can share it with everyone. So at the end of this list, I've got some resources where the SDA Church has got a course on digital evangelism that if you're interested, you can do that. Right? So we need to know who we are targeting. Right now, and this one thing that I have an issue with is that we tend to, as a church, want to target everyone, right? And in the business world, we don't do these kind of things. We kind of niche down. We kind of have a target audience, and then we create content around the needs or the problems that specific person might be going to, and we'll do an example of that. Then the next thing I will do is create a website, especially a blog. The reason for that is the more content you load onto your blog, the more Google help you to climb those rankings. So you need to share those content on various platforms, obviously. So once you get traffic to your website, Google will help push your website to the top of Google rankings. And I know this worked because I've done this for my own personal website, where last year I had a strategy session and I worked out the strategy to help myself get to the top. So I'm ranking for certain keywords, and that's exactly what you want to do as well. And the reason why I say this is when I became an Adventist, it was super difficult for me to find a church in the specific area I was staying in. And so if you have a website for your church, I mean, Google will help whoever's looking for church in that area that you are in. Google will help them find you. Now, one of the most important things is to work out a strategy, is to have a long-term goal. A lot of times we just want to go out and do evangelism, but we never tend to set ourselves a goals. Like I usually work with a 2-year goal plan. And the reason for that is that, it takes about 12 months to run a campaign or not to reach people. So I think I read somewhere that it takes about 2 years. Mark Finley actually, was Mark Finley. He would usually just go to run a campaign after every 2 years in certain countries. Why? Because he wants the people to go out and start reaching people, go door to door, go and knock on, go give Bible studies, invite people to church, become friends. I'm a big believer in friendship evangelism. Then I would open up social media accounts for the ministry or the church. That's super important. That will help you with growth. Then I would also launch a YouTube channel. So I'm not going to go into depth into YouTube channel, but someone else will focus on that. Then I will make, because of the lockdown, a lot of our sermons a lot of the churches are having sermons. They have these little groups that have opened, like Zoom meetings, and there's another app called GoToMeeting. So they have their church service on these platforms, and basically some of them are recording the sermon. So what I would do is I would make those sermons available online so that people can listen to it, so that people can download it if they want to. Then I would look at having events on Facebook Live and interact with your audience, basically. So you can have events on end times prophecies or cooking lessons or whatever the case might be. Facebook Live is always good for that. Then WhatsApp, you can use WhatsApp to send inspiring messages to friends, as well as videos to friends and families. When the lockdown happened in March month, I immediately went to WhatsApp. I recorded myself. I did like 3 to 5 minute videos. I looked at the Bible. I looked at current events, and I sent 3 to 5 minute videos encouraging my friends and family members. Couple of, like 1 or 2 months into lockdown, I actually phoned my uncle and just to follow up with him and ask him how he was doing. And what he actually did, he's not an Adventist, so he actually told me that some of the messages that I sent, he actually sends it on to his church members so that they can listen to it. And I was like, okay. And I would, and basically, if you have a strategy worked out, you can do this consistently. Then obviously use Zoom to organize Bible studies, to organize, group activities, book clubs, support groups, anything like that can help you reach these people. So let's look at examples quickly. So I'm going to put myself in the shoes of a 28-year-old guy who is the youth leader of the church, whatever church. So this is how I would approach it, right? So I would look at long-term goals. I would get my team together, and on a sticky note or online, Zoom call is best. I've done this on Zoom. What I would do is I would put at the top, I would write down, say, in 2 years' time, if everything goes according to plan, what would that look like? Now, here's an opportunity for everyone to get involved and think about long-term goals. Like, for instance, you could say, listen, one of the goals we want to achieve is have 20 Bible studies, 20 baptisms, or have 50 Bible studies, or we could say, we want to do this or to do that. So it's important to work out a long-term goal, right? Then what you will do is you will get everyone to vote on a long-term goal, right? You will give them 2 minutes to read through all the long-term goals, and then once the 2 minutes are done, you say, listen, now you can vote. Only one option. You can only choose once. And then you will have a decider. In this instance, I will be like the decider. And if everyone voted for a long-term goal, then I will look at those that have been voted upon, and I will choose the one that I think is the most important one that we can focus on. So that's how the first step that I would take. Then I would look at what we call user profiles. Some call it user personas. It's also known as customer profiles. This is basically setting the ideal person that you want to reach. Basically, in the business world, this is the ideal person that I would like to reach. Now I just made this example quickly, right? So this is the people we are trying to reach, a user profile. So I've given this person a name. I call the header Willis, and I've given a what we call an archetype, a user type, and I'll explain that now. So basically, I look at what we call demographics, right? I'll give the person an age, so that so with whatever content we create, we picture this person and we say, listen, will this help that person out? So we look at the age, we look at, okay, she's female. I would imagine she would be a teacher, stays in the northern suburbs, she could be single with 2 kids, right? So let's look at the backstory. Now, this person, I would call her the seeker because of the issues that she's going through, right? So let's look at the backstory. What challenges is this person going through? So see, now I'm looking at this whole pandemic that's happened since March month. So now I'm looking at, she could be the challenge. She's trying to make sense of what is fake or what is real. There's a lot of stuff going on the internet, that some are fake, some are real. So she doesn't know what to believe. There's a lot of misinformation. She doesn't know what to believe. There's fear. She's a single mother. So obviously there's fear, there's anxiety, there's stress. She's worried about the kids, worried about the uncertainty, the unknown. How will a job be impacted by this virus? About this pandemic. How long will it take? Will I get sick? What if I do get sick? So all of these things she's struggling with. She's thinking about. How will she and her kids survive over the next few months? What if she loses her job? How will the COVID-19 affect my kids at school, my kids' education? No, I won't be able to keep them at home while I go in to school and teach these kids. So now we want to look at her needs. What does she need in order to help her with the problems she's facing? Right? She needs accurate information. She needs access to good Bible study teachings. She needs hope, comfort. She needs a friend who can listen to her problems. She basically needs support and prayer. She needs peace of mind, peace in the soul, basically. So what solutions can we come up with? So this is something I've because I've got a teacher in my family, and this is stuff that I sometimes do. I would give her that odd call or that odd message. How are you doing? Are you still coping? A lot of us know teachers. Our kids some of our kids go to creche or school, so we can send that odd message to our teacher and say, listen, man, if there's anything that you need, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you. Teach her the right information or on what the Bible says will happen. So it needs more of a holistic approach to where there's hope and discussion of the consequences involved. Pray, Bibles. It needs a Bible study group. online social support group, maybe a book club. These are just some of the solutions that this person needs. Then what I would do is, I would look at awareness, how we can reach this person. So this is something that I use when I do a strategy session, right? So we all give ideas. Like I would have my team, then we discuss, okay, listen, how can we reach that person? Okay, one of the first thing, we need to create content. That's super important. How else will this person find out about Jesus? Then we need like a website. So that will, it's not Fix, it's actually Wix, Wix. So we need a website, a blog. Will it be on Wix or Squarespace? These are just platforms, free platforms that you can use to build your website on. We're probably going to need a YouTube channel, because I mean, we can do these three to 5 minute videos on our phones, record it, upload it onto YouTube. We'll probably need Zoom or any, video recording platforms where we can basically um, have discussion with people. We can invite them. We can have a support group via Zoom. We probably should create a WhatsApp group of some sort where we can invite people to, and then we can share regular messages with them, inspiring messages. Social media channels, that's super important. Then I would like to get a whole church involved, because like I said, no man is an island. If we can get a whole church involved, they can say the messages with everyone. Then one of the ideas probably be a talk show or some kind of online event. Like, I've seen quite a few that's happened over the last few months. Then support groups, that's important for this person. And then paid media, that is more, Google advertisement, Facebook advertisement, Instagram advertisement, and stuff like that. So then what I would do is I would look at now the S and the M and the L, that's short term, medium term, long term. So I will look at these, and first I will give it a desirability and a doability. So this, what I would do here is, if the desirability of this description is high, I will give it a 10 or a 9 or 8. Like in this instance, the long-term description talk, so online events, I gave it a 6 because it's a desirability, but the doability of that is it's very low. So I'm just gonna not focus on that. That's more of a long-term plan. So everything that is short-term, all right, so you'll see desirability and doability. If you count those two up, it will give you a total of 19. So everything that's 15 and above, that is something, and it's short term, that is something you will focus on. So I made all of those lines red because all of those are short term and they have a high number. That is what I will focus on in the next 3, 4, 5 months, right? Then I will look at, content creation. There is this thing called the rule of 7. So the rule of 7 states that a person needs to be exposed to a message at least 7 times before they'll take action or they'll take a desired action. Develop a comprehensive content strategy that incorporates both traditional media and digital, working together to maximize impact. Implementing an effective content strategy requires repeated, consistent messaging from multiple communication channels. So that is super important. Always remember that. This is something I learned many years back when I first got involved with Amen. So about 7 times they need to see your content before they'll take a desired action. So you're probably sitting there and asking yourself now, how do I come up with these content ideas? And it's fairly easy. We look at our ideal target audience. So that one buyer persona, you can create multiples of those. So you'll see that some of the challenges that person is going through will fit in line with other people as well, like fear and anxiety and all of those kind of things. So, I will look at, fear and anxiety. How to deal with anxiety, how to deal with fear, what to do if you should get COVID-19 or you should get the virus. Like like a week or two ago, my mom sent me these videos, and one of the recipes, it's a recipe basically on how to, boost your immune system. And a friend as well sent me a recipe, and I made it for me and my family. And my wife said, listen, wait, let's record it, and then we can it's just easier for people to see what you are doing, and then you can share it with others. And that you can do via your phone. It's super easy. One of the things you can focus on is the end. Is this the end of the world? Does God care? Did God cause the coronavirus? Those are a bunch of questions that people are more interested in nowadays. Now, if you are struggling, really, really struggling to come up with content, then here's something not a lot of people know about. This little guy here called Google. He is indeed your friend. So if you type in Google, does God care? Or just like in this instance, it just says, does God? Then Google will give you a list or you will recommend um, a list to you of searches that you can search. And those you can use as content ideas, because these are basically stuff people are looking for or looking at when they search Google. So that's something you can look at. Now, a friend of mine from Claremont Church asked me to help him with this campaign. And one of the interesting things that he shared with me is that since the lockdown happened in March month, you'll notice that there is the blue, the red, and the yellow lines. At the top it says Book of Revelation, second coming is the end of is the world ending. So there's been a significant increase in searches during that period for the Book of Revelation, the second coming is the world ending. So that's the stuff people are searching for. Then he shared some more stuff with me, and this is interesting, the mark of the beast. That line, if you look at that yellow line, it's just, that's like 70, that increase, the increase in that searches. So that stuff people are looking for, and that stuff we can focus on as well and create content and share it on our social platforms. Now, let's look at some in-depth, some more ideas. So what I would do is the sermons that we record every Sabbath, I would basically share that on social media. I will put it on YouTube. I will make it as a downloadable sermon on our website. I will look at topics that people are currently struggling with, and I'll share that on social media with a link back to our website. It's super important that you have a link somewhere that people can go back to, and in this instance, it will be your website. Then I would create some kind of online event focusing on my users or my that specific target markets issues or challenges that they are going through. Then I will use like some kind of a pull-out quotes and put it on images, especially from the sermon. If there's something interesting, you can just pull out that quote and put the speaker's name there, and then you can share it on social media. Now, there's this software called, you can go to this website called canva.com, where you're able to create your own little designs, and you can put the pull-up quote on there, and then you can download that thing as a JPEG, and then you can share it. Absolutely free. That's absolutely free. Then you can look at to create discussion questions to post on your church's Facebook group, which people can start chatting and discussing, and then a lot of people can interact with it. Then, like I said, mentioned that create 3 to 5 minute videos that where you talk about certain topics, where you talk about, how you overcame fear, how you overcame anxiety, and you can share it on WhatsApp. This is easy to share on WhatsApp. Many of us are on these WhatsApp groups, and I do this with my family groups and friend groups where I share a lot of these videos and talks that I find interesting. I will share it with them. And then you can share it on Facebook and Instagram stories, WhatsApp statuses. Instagram and Facebook stories, that's super important because a lot of people, there's a trend where a lot of people are starting to watch these Instagram stories. I'm not going to go into depth in those things. Then I would get the church to start sharing this content. Um, start sharing this content. Now, the Advent Radio, they did this 2-week campaign with Tammy Utman, I think. And what they did, they had digital missionaries get on board, and they got a lot of people to start watching these videos. And I think they got over 1 million views of around all the, I think 1 million views. Can't remember what that exact number was. So that is tells you that a lot of people are indeed watching the content, and the more we share it, the more opportunities there is for us to reach them, the more they can see what we are all about as a church. And then something that I when I was reading another article is that sharing relationship articles. People love these relationship articles, lifestyle content we need to share. Share encouraging and motivational videos with friends and family. I shared with a video with of David Esrick some time back with some friends and family, and my uncle really loved it, and he shared it with his group as well. And then something that I've been toying with is to use TikTok as a platform. And I've seen quite a few videos where people use TikTok and they share and they start praying for people via TikTok. And I think that's another platform we can use as well. So these are simple ideas to like for Canva especially. Now what you can do is go to canva.com. You select the design, insert a memorable quote from your sermon, insert a photo from Canvas archives that matches your quote. Then you can download those images and then you can share it with your friends and family members. So these are just some more ideas that when I was going through this, like, what would I do? This is super important. Practice friendship evangelism. I can't stress this enough. I'm a big fan of it. And I can tell you this worked because a couple of years back, about 3 years back, I started at a company, this previous company, and I met this guy, and we became friends because I purposefully invited him to come and have lunch with me during lunch, and I invited him to church once, and I invited him to lunch at my place, and we became very close. And then one day I decided, okay, listen, I'm going to take it a step further, and I just went and asked him, said, do you want to study the Bible with me? And to my surprise, he actually said yes. Now, we studied the Bible for like 2-3 months, and then he had to go overseas, he had to relocate. But the interesting part is that we still continued that friendship via Skype, and we had Bible studies via Skype. Now he's in the UK right now. I've done all of these Bible studies. But the interesting thing is that we can still be in communicate with him. We can communicate with our colleagues and our classmates and our friends via these platforms and say, listen, how are you doing? How are you coping? Are your family coping? Are you okay? We can show that we care because we do care. Why would we do these things? Like in this instance, I would contact my child's teacher and ask him, like, is there anything I can do for you? Is there anything I can do for the children in your classroom? This is exactly what I've done. I actually quitted my job to help a friend out with starting an initiative at my old high school. So that's why I started working for myself. And then this coronavirus happened, and now our plans are on hold, but I'm still in contact with him and the teachers, and we're still trying to do something at the school. Get in contact with someone you haven't spoken to in a while, just ask him, what's up, how's things? Um, Ask the teacher on WhatsApp if there's anything she's struggling with. I know teachers are struggling with stuff as well, especially single parents. They go through a lot. So we can be that support. We can help them through the trying times. And then just, like I said, reach out to a colleague or classmate. So just to focus on some do's and don'ts. Do's, be consistent. Consistency is key. Just don't do things for like a month and then you stop. Do it consistently. That way Google will see and people will see your stuff, and that way they will see everything that we do, everything that as everything that we are as a church. People will see, and then we are able to reach them. Always give credit to the author of the content you are sharing. A lot of times people just share stuff without giving credit. That's actually wrong. And I think many times you can get into trouble. And also put a link to your website on these things that you are sharing, especially on social media platforms, because how else will they know about you, about your church? Important. Always pray and ask God for guidance. I cannot stress this enough. And one super important thing as well, when someone comments on your content or on your videos or whatever, or ask questions, try and respond as soon as possible. I mean, that is like super important, because a lot of people don't do that. Just try and respond to it. That's something I had to learn the hard way as well. Some don't download images from other people's websites. You can get into trouble. A lot of times they paid for that content, and it's copyrighted. So rather, I'll share some resources with you as well after this. Don't engage in heated debates. A lot of people are watching you on social media, and and like I'm one of those guys that I'll read the comments before I watch the video or something, so that I know what people are saying. And be careful of assumption. A lot of times we assume that this person or that person is going through something, or that this person or that person is just, faking things. Where we need to treat everyone as if they are, serious, and we need to look at things from a different perspective. These are just some resources: Wix, Squarespace, WordPress to create your website. Or to download free images, you can use Unsplash, Pixabay. These are sites I use regularly. And then to do your designs, you can do it on Canva. Then these are just some resources where you can go and click on these links. I'll share these slides with you. And that's it from me. Over to Natasha.
Okay, I think I'm audible now. Thanks so much, Rob, for your presentation. So for those of you that have questions, you are welcome to just raise your hand, and then I will call your name out, and then you can just unmute yourself. But just quickly, Rob, I have two questions for us from the chat section. So someone asked about, they said, our church needs to relook at choosing officers, because in the Adventist church, we choose officers annually. How do we get to the point of having people commit to the church, especially within leadership, for a longer period? So essentially, you can answer that, Rob, but my sort of maybe input for comment on that question would be that it would be interesting if you could tune into our third part series, which we will end off with on Sabbath, because there we will actually specifically use a case study model of actually using an office, the communications department within the Adventist church, and how if we kind of use that office to a full capacity, like Robert said in his presentation, we have a full team on board and people maybe in different components of that specific office in the communications department, how really wonderfully things can work out. So for that specific person, I think it was Russell, do tune into our third part series, which concentrates on digital ministry within the church. There we will also have a speaker that will give us really like a very interesting and in-depth response and knowledge sharing presentation as well. But Rob, if you have anything to contribute to that question.
I would say that one of our biggest issues is that we focus less on training up people. We just give them information, but we never walk with them. And that's why one thing that I appreciated, I'm going to speak about Amen for this specific reason, is that the reason why I stayed so long is because the guys invested in me. I joined them when I just came to the church. And then because I saw that they had passion, I started, and they allowed me, and I'm a big believer of this, allow people to fail. That's the only way they will learn. Don't go and crucify them and persecute them because they've made a mistake or if they failed. Help them out, tell them what they've done wrong, and show them a better way. But a lot of times we tend to just like hit them on the nail. So allow them to fail, walk with them, guide them, especially young people. I cannot stress this enough. That's why I'm in the church so long, because I've had mentors that have taught me quite a lot, especially about the love of Jesus, showing me mercy and kindness.
Thank you, Rob. Another question from one of the people was so they looked at the persona that you created of Heather, and the question was, how do I get her confidence to be able to communicate the information, or I suppose the content that I've built up to this person, if I'm a complete stranger to her or him? So to any persona or any person that I'm making contact with, how do I build up confidence with that person through digital communication?
Obviously, I mean, if I look at it, most of the times, these people will reach out to you. All right. So, I mean, obviously, friendship evangelism is super important. That's why you just start a conversation. Just start a conversation. How are you doing? One of the things I sometimes do is, whenever I start at a company, is I will try and make friends as quick as possible. And I always ask them about their family, about their kids, about do they have animals. People like to talk about animals and the kids and all of these things. So this is something I've learned over the years. So try and just talk to them, make friends, become friends.
Mm.
But most of the time they will reach out to you. They will reach out to you.
Okay, great. There's no other questions that I can see now. So, Rob, if you have any closing comments that you'd like to leave us with before we close.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the stuff that I've covered is basically just surface level. It goes deeper than that. I mean, if you want to really target all of these people, unfortunately, because of time, I couldn't do more than I mean, like we like Natasha, we discussed to look at 4 different types of people. I couldn't do that. It just goes really deep. So look at content. That's super important. Look at content. I cannot stress this enough. Content will help you, and I've noticed that the Adventist Church in America started focusing a lot on those things. That's why Dark Bachelor is so important, so successful, because they create content on a daily basis. Those videos and blog posts and all of those things that they are doing is actually helping them reach people. Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
I
Okay,
hope I
so
hope it made sense to everyone.
I hope so too. So I hope we've reached our goal this evening. So thank you everyone for joining us in our first part in the 3-part series of Digital Ministry 101. So just a reminder that so for our next part 2, we will be joined with Timothy. And for those of us that will have questions or that already, are experiencing some issues or want a better understanding on how we use our hardware, our tech, our devices, like our mobile phones and our how we connect with our laptops, how we use the live systems through Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, the resolution, things like video, lighting, background. So Timothy is an expert, a media expert in all of those things. So he will be giving us a presentation for part 2. So you are welcome to use the same Zoom login information to join us again at 7:30 on Thursday evening for that presentation, which will be much more technical than this evening. So thank you once again, Robert, for your time. And just before we close off, I'd like to do a closing prayer. But just before I do that, I would like to share a quote with us. This comes from the Pen of Inspiration. And she says, we must take every justifiable means of bringing the light before the people. Let the press be utilized and let every advertising agency be employed that will call attention to the work. She also says, let every worker in the master's vineyard study, plan, devise methods to reach the people where they are. We must do something out of the common course of things. We must arrest the attention. We must be in deadly earnestness. We are on the very verge of times of trouble and perplexities that are scarcely dreamed of. And so I hope that these quotes will really inspire you to use as something as personal as your social media profiles, platforms, your WhatsApp, your Instagram. We basically live on these platforms and people see how we live our lives. And so may you be challenged and may you be encouraged to make use of these personal platforms in order to minister and to reach out to somebody. And this is my prayer for each of us this evening. Let's close our eyes for the closing prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for an opportunity that we could have had this evening just for Robert to come and share with us his expertise and knowledge on how we can better understand people, how we can better see how we can be more effective for you on digital and online platforms. We pray that as we try and apply this knowledge, that you may help us, that as we seek you for further encouragement and inspiration, that you will help us to seek you and to understand and know that we should have a love for others just as you have a love for us. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
See you,
Okay,
Natasha.
so thanks
Everyone.
again, everyone. Keep well. Bye.